Hey guys, I'm Thomas of Total RC, and today I shall be starting my first traditional balsa wood build. Now, I should just state I have actually built a DPR model Cessna with my little lad, but that doesn't really count because it's just a flat sheet. There's no built up wings or anything like that. So this is my first foray into traditional building, and I have gone for a West Wings Merlin simple glider. It says here, a simple glider, an easy to build, free flight model with a wingspan of 890mm. Now this does have built up wings and it needs covering, so I'm actually quite scared to get delving into this. I did actually purchase this about 4 years ago. I think it was about £20 in the UK. Prices probably have gone up since then. However, since I purchased it and had plans to build it, life just got in the way and it never happened. You know how it goes. So it does come as a pack. You've got all your like balsa strips just there and some pre-laser cut parts such as these bad boys. I'm going to read the instructions and see how rubbish they are, because they probably are, and get building. So I've got myself a little building block, not building block, it's like a little building board which is made out of plasterboard. I got it from the local builder's merchant, so I'll leave in the description what kind of stuff you need to get if this is you kind of sat here getting ready to build your first one. So let's go and set up my board and show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so it would be nice to go for a little fly today, but unfortunately the weather is absolutely hideous, so I find myself here in my unit at work with my plans laid out with some cellophane, which I think is florist cellophane. Now, when I did the little DPR Cessna with Sam, actually everything stuck to this, which gave a nice wing covering, but that's not what I'm going for today, because this is going to be covered with tissue. So I have got some, I think it's A3 tracing paper on a pad, which I had from a previous project at work a few years ago. So I'm going to try and dig that out and shove it on top of that, and hopefully we can still see the plans. I've got myself a new Swan Morton craft knife and some blades. I think these are 10A. It doesn't say on the packet, but I've got some more blades somewhere. In fact, that came with some blades. So I've got these are 10A, so they must be something, I don't know what they are, but anyway, we'll figure that out. That's tissue paste. That must have been from when I bought the stuff before. Okay, this is what we're going to be using, I think, today. Super phatic glue. It says it dries in about 10 to 20 minutes. So we're going to go for that. And if you look there, someone's shoving it onto some balsa wood. So that must be the right stuff for this. Let me know in the comments if it's not. In case of emergencies, I've got a bit of cyanoacrylate as well, just in case. What's this here? Easy dope. Not going to need that for this because it's not tissue. Oh, and my building pins here. I bought these when I bought the kit years ago and never got around to using it. So that is that. I need to get some sanding paper according to the instructions, but I have got these little files here for deburring anything should I need to. But I will get hold of some sandpaper and crack on. And the last thing, a few little of these little clamp things. That might well be broken, that one. Yeah, maybe not, I don't know, but we'll figure that out. And let's see how this goes, shall we? Let me go and figure out that tracing paper. Okay, found my little tracing pad, and as you can see, you can still see all of the plan underneath there. So I'm going to check what pieces of balsa wood I need to cut out now and get cracking. Okay, so the kit does come with some instructions here. They're mainly written with a couple of little pictures, some pictorials there about how to shape and fit in the nose block and the tow hook, and how to hold the wood in place with some pins. So I'm going to be taking full use of those instructions. It's got some little instructions here with regards to the wings and stuff, so I'll cover each of these as we get to it, and also some flying tips and a rib identification chart, whatever that is. So that must tell you which ribs are which for the wings. So I'm going to have a quick read through the introduction here and then get started. There will be a bit of time lapse, but if anything exciting happens or I'll get stuck with anything, I will come back and have a chat with you and let you know what's happening. Okay, so first of all, you can see you've got these two little sheets here of balsa, which will be the wing ribs. So these obviously correspond with the identification chart, which I just showed you. So I'm going to cut these out. They are pre-cut with laser. You can actually see through where they've been cut, but each one of them has got like little perfs. So I'm just going to use a brand new scalpel blade and just cut these out on my board just here. So I've got all of the ribs, and then I can still identify them using the identification chart, which I found earlier. So I'm going to get on with that and see what we end up with. Okay, so you can see that I've cut all these pieces out now with a scalpel blade, but you might notice on some of them they've got like little burrs where I've cut them out. I don't know how effectively you can see that on the camera there, but it's not quite smooth. So I'm going to go and find some what do you call it? Oh man, sandpaper, and smooth those off a little bit, and so they're all nice and uniform, and as they should be. So let's go and find that now. Okay, so I actually can't find any sandpaper, but I have found a bigger file from when I had my old Volkswagen camper van. So I'm going to give that a little go and just make them a little bit smoother. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is my first build, but I would like it to be as good as I can get it. So I'm just going to get on with that now, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes and start putting this thing together. Okay, so that is all those done. You can see I've now got a handful of nicely sanded parts there. One thing I did notice, it's quite easy to over sand this. Obviously being balsa wood, it's very, very soft. So go easy on it because it's easier to remove wood than it is to put it back. So yeah, just take it slow with that. And now I've got some nice smooth parts. I'll blow away any sawdust and get onto it. Okay, so according to the instructions, I need to make the frame obviously on the plan using these pieces. They're 3mm by 12mm. Do not get these confused with the the trailing edge, which is also in the wood pack, because they're very similar in dimensions. Other than the other little ones, the trailing edges are tapered, so make sure they are the rectangular version. And this is going to go onto the plan and form the bottom of the fuselage. Now, it doesn't appear that it's very bendy, but I'm assuming it must be. It's asking me to pin it onto the board as I go along, so I'm going to time lapse that and sort of slow it down if there's any issues. Okay, so just as I'm putting this balsa wood onto the plan, I've got to thread it through these little bits in. I'll put these little pins where they should be. However, it's kind of making the wood want to wobble laterally kind of thing, if that makes any sense. But what I've noticed that the pins are always just tiny bit this side of this black line. So I'm going to take the wood away for the time being and just go ahead and put a number of these along here. Just below this black line, and then what I can do is I can fit up the balsa wood in there, and then just do the same on the top line once I've got the balsa wood there, and it should hopefully be all upright. So I'm going to crack on with that now. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. Basically what I've done is I've put them along this bottom line just here, which will form the bottom of the fuselage. Hopefully I can still thread this piece in here as it's intended. Okay, and then what I can do is just basically bend this into place like so, and just as I go along, pop another pin on the top half of the line just here, and we should have it as it's meant to be. I don't really know what the terminology and all that stuff is, so I'm just winging it really. So let's get on with that and pin the top side as well. Okay, so I've pinned the top and the bottom now, and as you can see, it actually does curve along. I thought it might break, but obviously the designers of these things know what they're doing, and it hasn't. So it does now actually follow the curve of the bottom of the fuselage just there. And you might notice when I was doing the time lapse, I made a little mark with my scalpel just here, because on the plan it says that that is where I should cut the wood and then start joining another bit, because you'll notice it doesn't go all the way to the end where it needs to. So I'm going to get on and cut that now and bang another bit on there, and I suppose I really should glue those bits together. Okay, so you can see I've added now another section at the back just there. It's probably a bit out of focus actually with this GoPro, but now I have finished that. I did start using this Superfatic stuff, but if I'm convinced it's not really cutting it, so I've gone to the cyanoacrylate, which is just some basic cyano glue. I'm sure it's fine for balsa wood. If it's not, we'll soon find out, won't we? But anyway, I'm going to leave that to set for a little bit. There's some other sections at the top here where you don't use a full strip. You see there's a part there where it goes there, and then you have to cut it, and then it starts on a lower section there. And I guess at the same time as I'm doing this, I should start putting these bits in the middle just here Don't know what they're called, formers or something like that, perhaps. I'll read the instructions. Okay, since I've only got a limited amount of this 12 by 3, which they're asking me to use even for these formers, I'm going to do the biggest bits first, because once I've cut it, I can't make them any longer. So I'm just going to go ahead now and do those bits. This part here, also a section here, which it looks like there's a cut there, which yeah, it must be. And then I'll do this last section, and then I'll make up these formers using the little bits that I've got left. Okay, so I hope you can see what I've done here. I've also pinned in the top part there of the fuselage there where the canopy will go, I suppose. And then there's this little butt join just here. And then I've done this plate. This must be a plate where the wing sits on. So it looks like the wing is going to have a flat profile at the bottom. And I've just tapered the edge here, just in line with the plan. I'm just going to do the same now with the rest of this part. It looks like it's one piece, so that's going to be my bigger bit that I've got just here. And then I'll have all these little bits left over to make the formers with. So I'm going to get on with that now and shut up. Okay, I've added these pieces now, so what I'm just going to do is going to put some, run some glue, some cyano into these joints just here. There's another one just there which I've had to sort of chamfer, is that the right word? And that is it. So you can see it meets at the end just here. This is where the tailplane will go. Hopefully it is not all wonky, and hopefully it will all go together nice and straight. So I'm going to just double check it's all straight before sort of setting in some glue, and then I'll read the instructions and find out what's next. I guess it will be those formers which I have got to cut up. Okay, so I've applied the glue to all of these joints and just bunged a bit more on this first one, which I did, but hopefully that glue will penetrate nicely. If not, I can always go over it at a later date just to make doubly sure. So I'm going to cut up these formers now and get those in. That's going to be a bit boring, I reckon, but it shouldn't take too long, so I'll do a bit of a time lapse, but not too much. Okay, so as you can see, I've put all these little formers just in there. I hope they're all nice and straight. There's one here which I can't get to at the moment because there's some pins. I've cut the piece for it, but it slides in between these two pieces of wood just here. So I'm going to have to move the inner pins and slot that in there and give it a bit of glue. Okay, so now this is all sort of glued and just waiting for the glue to set there. I'll probably leave it for a bit, to be honest with you. I've got this nose mount block, and looking at the instructions, I need to sand this down. Now already I don't really have any sanding paper, so I am going to cut it as best I can with my scalpel, roughly to the shape, and then I can sort of smooth it off with my file at a later date, or I've got some sandpaper at home. So I'm going to get on and do that now. It might not be pretty. Okay, as you can see, yeah, this is quite clearly my first Balsa build, but it does kind of resemble the shape that it's meant to, kind of just there. It does need sanding down a bit, but it's the right size for me to glue it on. And what I will do, I think, will be to glue it into place, and then I can sand it. When I've got all this, I can move it around and sorry, that was a bit wonky there. I can keep hold of the fuselage whilst it's mounted and sand it on there just to ensure it looks right. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for this glue to set, I'm just going to have a look in the instructions and see if there's anything else that I can be getting on with now. If not, then that will be it for today, and we'll have to continue another time. But let me have a look at those instructions. Okay, so I've just checked in the instructions, and unfortunately that is about as far as I can go today. I have glued the nose on as per the instructions to the front former just here, and it's all nice and straight and level. So that is all I can do today. The next part in the instructions, it says to put the sides on, which are these little pre-formed pieces just here, which I can't do obviously while it's still gluing and setting. So what I will do next time is take the whole fuselage from my plan and basically go at the joints from the other side as well, which is touching. Just check there's proper penetration of the wood just there, sorry, the wood and the glue. Yeah, please be kind. This is my first build of this kind. I've done a little basic balsa wood, but it was just like matchsticks, so this is a bit different, but I haven't found it too bad so far. It's quite therapeutic, but I've bound to have made lots of mistakes. So if that is the case, leave a comment down below and go easy on me. But if you've got any tips, I'd love to hear those as well. So that is about it for this time. If you found this enjoyable today, please hit subscribe down there. It won't cost you anything and it really helps me out. And other than that, give it a thumbs up, yeah? Right, that is it for today. I shall be back shortly for part 2, so do stay tuned.